It's another informative edition of Power Wheel, a production of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, and I am glad you could join us. As usual, we feature top news stories from the power sector. I am Chinwenwa Anyanwu. The Transmission Company of Nigeria and West African Power Pool, WAP, have held a workshop for representatives of various utility firms to strategize on reducing losses across electricity transmission and distribution networks in the West African sub-region.
The chairman of WAP and managing director of TCN, Mr. Usman Guru Mohammed, said all hands must be on deck to reduce the cost of energy, as studies have shown that the West African sub-region has the highest cost of energy. He also explained what constitutes the cost of energy that should be addressed, as he said.
The cost of energy includes the cost of generation, the cost of transmission, and the cost of distribution, and also all the losses and the inefficiencies in the system. So it means that we have one of the highest inefficiency in the system. That's why our tariff is high. So that's why WAP take a decision that going forward we'll work very hard to see how we can improve on the lower end of the system, that is the distribution. And that is why this workshop is organized, and I think this is a series of workshops where we are going to do many of these.
Mohammed said the need for championing the improvement of the distribution system networks was to ensure liquidity to drive the international energy trade and the regional electricity market that would be cited by operators of power firms.
If energy flow from one country to another and is not paid, then there cannot be sustainable investment into the network. And energy payment depends on the capacity of the distribution companies to collect the money. So this one is very, very big issue.
The TCN MD, who thanked the participants for active participation at the workshop, responded to their questions on network improvement strategies, as he highlighted the xenox between adequate electricity for the citizens and poverty eradication, saying,
electricity is the main yardstick for development and is the only indices for reducing poverty. Our people will not cease to be poor if we don't provide them electricity. And we cannot provide electricity on a sustainable basis if the revenue angle is not tackled.
Mohammed also reeled out the achievements of TCN in the effort to tackle transmission losses and entrench system frequency stability. He said,
we have been able to achieve frequency control of 49.5 to 50.5, which has not been achieved in the last 20 years. And we have come up with a plan on how to comply with the WAP code on the frequency control, and we are going to achieve it. We have raised investment plan. We have come up with investment plan, and we have come with a strategy that convinced the donors to invest in TCN. In less than 1 year, we raised $1.57 billion. And we changed the procurement procedure and changed the implementation, the way we implement projects. We decentralize, where the regions are the one installing transformers now. And let me tell you, from August to date, TCN engineers have installed more than 20 power transformers all over the country using in-house capacity at a price of about 10% what we normally pay contractors.
At the 330 kV by 132 kV Katampe transmission substation, where the participants saw during the workshop, the operator on duty, Engineer Mohammed Yusuf, conducted the WAP committee round the control room and the facilities of the substation, saying the substation manages the energy load demand of Abuja sub-region.
It takes its source from Shiroro Generation Power Station to this end. We have two lines coming from Shiroro to this place on 330 kV lines. The second line, there's another 330 station at Babanaga. So the second line of the Shiroro line and that of Gwagwalada were joined together, meaning they were jump pads together. So it stopped at Gwagwalada, it passes through Gwagwalada to this place. Why it still go, the first line goes to Apotheas.
Speaking at the end of the workshop, a participant, Stanley Onwusike, representing Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, EEDC, commended TCN, saying the objective on reducing losses in the network was apt.
We deliberated a lot to provide solutions, areas we can improve in reducing these losses. So actually it is a very good one, and I have the belief that with the strategies already outlined and the information from different utility companies, the loss reduction exercise is already ongoing, and it will continue to come down as per various utilities.
Another participant, Engineer Omola Olu, from the Technical Department of Abuja Distribution Company, AEDC, said,
"It's not substandard in any way to other international workshops, so it's of international standard. I'm impressed." And we were the Katampe transmission 330-132 station this morning. So we were briefed there that they have another 330-132 at Gwagwalada, and they have 132-33 in about 2 more, Kukwaba, Central Area, and Kubwa, in addition to Katampe. So Abuja is well served by the TCN.
The Human Resources Managers of the Independent System Operation, ISO, a business unit of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, have submitted to offering more quality services to enable TCN achieve her goals.
In his welcome remarks at a meeting hosted by the Lagos Operations Region, the General Manager HR, ISO, Mrs. Abiola Jumoke Ahugboje, who was represented by the Assistant General Manager, AGM, HR and CM, ISO, Mr. Chuks Naji, welcomed the participants from the corporate headquarters, Abuja, and TCN regions around the country.
This auspicious gathering in Lagos will afford us opportunity to appraise our activities in our quest to work together and align our operations to a better service delivery. From the theme of this meeting, it is obvious we will scale down on those issues that teach us our variance and harmonize our operations to reflect our resolve in our onward march together.
Declaring the meeting with the theme, Onward Together opened, the Executive Director,
HR and CS,
Mr. Ifeanyi Ezuku, urged HR managers to key into the current developments and think outside the box to resolve administrative challenges.
You can imagine what can be achieved when we work together. And nobody except the team takes credit for what has been achieved. When we work together as a team, and not an individual like Manny who take credit for what has been achieved, but the entire team. Let's move together as a team, we'll achieve more.
Presentations during the two-day meeting were centered on building team spirit among the workforce, developments in the pension administration, and the review of state of the various operation regions. Ezuku tasked the HR managers, as he said,
"We need to get back to basis, and when we get back to basis, we'll get it right. And where does the basis start from? HR. We need to think out of the box. And I challenge everyone here present to think out of the box and get things right."
You're still watching Power Wheel. Let's take a break for a short message. Please stay tuned.
Way leave or right of way of 50 meters for 330 kV power lines and 30 meters for 132 kV power lines, and for 33 kV lines the way leave is 15 meters. People are not expected to be found within this way leave or right of way for safety reasons. the lines can suddenly cut and fall to the ground with very disastrous consequences such as fire and electrocution of anybody and destruction of anything, be it vehicle, houses or vegetation on its line. It has also been established that power lines and substation emit electromagnetic fields, EMF, which is dangerous to human health. The World Health Organization, WHO, has warned that people who spend long hours under or close high-tension lines stand the risk of being affected by EMF and be vulnerable to cancer, leukemia in children, miscarriages among pregnant women, and other terrible diseases. It is therefore advisable not to build any structure or operate any business under or near any electricity high-tension lines or substations. TCN wants you to stay alive, stay safe, stay healthy, avoid power lines. This message is from the management of Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN.
Welcome back. More on Power News. Following a consultative meeting held with prospective bidders to clarify issues on bidding process for equipment meant to expand the distribution networks, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has opened submitted bids at a transparent meeting for the emergence of successful bidders.
The Project Manager Distribution and Expansion Program, TCN, Engineer Ahmed Ibrahim Kaitafi, in his address during the bid opening at the TCN corporate headquarters in Abuja, said the early meeting TCN held with prospective bidders was to clear issues that could hinder some from emerging successful, as he noted that
we sincerely apologize. A lot of some of you have requested for extension of this bid submission date. Some of you requested for the extension of the time, but because of the constraints we have of time, we couldn't honor those extensions. We are already behind schedule. So there's no way we can extend the bid submission date, neither could we extend the bid submission time.
Kaitafi welcomed the bidders to the bid opening event, which was a crucial stage for the procurement process of TCN. He explained that the process was for the procurement of compact substations and other electrical equipment from original equipment manufacturers, OEM, saying,
we are now ready to open the bids. We expect that by the end of this exercise, every one of us here will leave this hall satisfied that the right thing has been done.
The consultant's distribution expansion program, Mr. Kingsley Odo, diligently opened the bids in the presence of the bidders, starting with Lot 1.
Lot 1 is the 33 kV transmission substation bus bar extension.
2 copies.
Three copies.
2 copies.
After opening the bid documents for the various lots, professional bodies made comments on the process. Ike Obiora of Initiative Resource Transparency maintained that bid opening process is of very much essence in procurement process. He also said,
it's better anything written on our should be followed strictly.
Kaitafi, in his remarks on the comments, reiterated the requirements for the procurements for all the bidders, as he said.
All the comments have been taken note of, and we assure you that in our next process, there's going to be great improvement. Thank you very much for your active participation. So we meet next time in our another bidding process. This is not the last. This is the first process we are going to have. We're going to and more bidding process are coming up because there are going to be more procurement to be made.
After opening all the bids for the various lots, the Director of Procurement, Federal Ministry of Power Works and Housing, Mr. Ahmad, said the bids evaluation will be completed in 2 weeks, adding that
those that are successful, that are qualified, we now call them to come and witness the public financial bid opening. So on behalf of the Ministry Transmission Company of Nigeria, I thank you very much for indicating interest in this our procurement. I wish you a safe trip to your various places.
Experts in the Nigerian electricity supply industry converged recently at the monthly Next Year Power Dialogue to chart ways of deploying captive power generation to boost access to electricity to solve the power sector challenges.
The business development lead, Power Axela Limited, Mr. Jide Onokoya, at the event spoke on captive power solutions. He said it requires providing power to areas not connected to the distribution system or the national grid. Onokoya explained the impact of captive power in boosting access to electricity, as he cited the example of Akuti captive plant built by Axela in Lagos.
You have a certainty of your tariff, which is different from an embedded or a grid-based plant that tariffs can be set arbitrarily by someone else. By developing your own power plant, you have certainty of tariff and you can look forward knowing how much you have to pay on a go-forward basis. Secondly, if your captive plant is big enough and you can generate, scale it up to a combined cycle plant, you may be able to provide heat and sell this heat to the industries in your clustered area and minimize your loss of transmission, because now you're in a captive situation. You have more power to sell to a clustered group of companies or individuals.
Also speaking was Agatha Nnaji, the Managing Director of Geometric Power, ABBA, foremost private sector developer of power generation and distribution assets in Nigeria. She explained the industrial and social impact of captive power as she cited a study conducted in Aba, Abia State, where over 80,000 diesel power generators were in operation, saying,
the social impact of that on the environment and the people in Aba and the businesses in Aba is huge. So when you're looking at the possibility of having captive generation as a solution versus embedded generation as a solution, you need to look at the entire picture of the cost. Scale is important. So if you have, like he said, the water system in Lagos that will provide a social service to the people, that is a huge benefit socially.
She advised that for any investor going into captive energy model, there was need to consider the social and environmental impacts and the cost of providing energy as it affects the people in those communities. Mrs. Nnaji highlighted the advantage of the power generation mode, which she said,
it has its positives. You're able to solve the problem of the more immediate and more important things that will impact our lifestyles. Water, for example. Security lights is another. Wherever you have those from captive generation, especially in the States, you find out that the rate of crime reduces significantly. So there are goods and there are some other challenges with it.
On his part, the Senior Special Assistant to the CBN Governor on Energy and Power, Mr. Ebipere Clark, explained how investors can set up effective captive power plants across communities that are not connected to the national grid, saying,
if you have customers, no matter who they are, who are interested in paying for reliable power in a captive format, I think there really is no issue with getting money. But you really have to demonstrate that. It's very easy in industrial clusters to have a well-known name, but other captive solutions might go more into the general public. So you have now something that CBN is looking to work with REA are on, I think, what's called the energizing economies, where we're looking at various economic groups, be it agro-processors or marketers. And once again, it's very important, we have to get our money back. How good is the consumer of power in paying the money back. Now, one of the things I will say is that realistically for captive power, and this perhaps goes back to a point that was mentioned earlier, I think for it to be successful, there has to be something economically productive.
Verify that land before you buy it. To drastically reduce the incidence of building under the transmission right-of-way or encroaching on designated TCN land, members of the public are hereby requested to verify land near or along transmission line route before purchasing it. Verification should be made in the Land Development Authority or at the TCN office. This would help in drastically reducing the incidence of building under transmission line right-of-way and save us all the problem of pulling down the structure or truncating transmission line expansion projects in your community due to court injunction. Help us serve you better. Verify that land before you buy it.
It's time to bring you Soundbite of the Week. Take a listen.
I can tell you that in the course of this year, TCN has no less than 90 projects of substation completion, substation expansion, reconducting of old lines in order to expand the new capacity. And I have told them that I cannot be everywhere, so the managing director and his team have the responsibility to continue to interact with communities that will benefit from these projects and hand them over.
Stay put as we bring you more news in the Power Flash segment. Viewer, this is where the curtain falls. We hope to keep you abreast with events in the power industry as they unfold. For another episode, please keep a date with Power Wheel, same time next week. To come up to speed with our stories, watch our episodes via our YouTube channel and these other platforms showing on your screen. I am Chinwenwa Anyanwu. Bye for now.